Hello everyone! I finally got a chance to sit down and make another Halloween series video. So for today I thought I would make a Halloween themed birthday card. So I'm using my Graphic 45 and Eerie Tail. This is the 8x8 pattern paper pack that I showed quite some time ago in a haul video. And decided I wanted to make some pattern paper balloons. So I grabbed my Simon Says Stamp balloons dies and die cut a couple of the different pattern papers with the three smallest dies in that set. And then I decided to use some Rusty Hinge Distress ink to ink all the edges of the balloons just to, one, cover up the little bit of white edge there that shows when you cut or die cut pattern paper. Plus, it just gives it that little extra bit of dimension, and it even works over the paper that's kind of black and green there. I don't really care. When it comes to Halloween, you can kind of get away with anything when it comes to mixing, you know, oranges and greens and purples and all that. So I inked all of the balloons, and then I had two pieces of somewhat plainer pattern paper. I'm going to use that as the background and on the inside of the card. So I inked up those with the Rusty Hinge ink as well, just to have it all done in one step. And then I have some of this AmyR's, it's black twine, and it's perfect for these balloons and for this sort of like Halloween theme. It's got kind of the frayed edges and everything, so I'm so glad I thought of it and pulled it out of my stash. So tied it around the little ends of the balloons, and with the two smallest balloons, because the little tail end doesn't go in very well, so like stringing that isn't going to stay on. If you so much as like pull on it even really gently, it's going to just slip off. So I just flip them over and add a little bit of that Ranger Multimedia Matte and just set them aside to dry. It doesn't take very long, but because I applied a good amount, it takes a decent amount of time. I couldn't even tell you how long. I just set it aside and came back to it later. So that way those little balloon strings will not come off at all now. And then to finish off the outside of the card, I'm using a new sentiment set from me. It's the Spooked Out Sentiments. So that's what kind of inspired making this card and doing it with the balloons. Was I have that sentiment in the set that says, "I hope your birthday is spooktacular." So I inked that up with Hero Arts black ink, and using my stamp positioner, I got that stamped on the pattern paper. And the Spooktacular sentiment has little like kind of splatters around, so it kind of inspired me to add some more splatters. So I just grabbed my watercolor set. This is the White Nights. I've shown this in some previous videos. You can get it from Amazon. I'll have it linked in the supplies. But yeah, it's super, super concentrated. So I'm just picking up the black watercolor with my very, very saturated paintbrush and really loading it up with the color and then flicking it onto the pattern paper. And for the life of me, I can't find the little box that I use to put things in when I'm flicking paint and spraying and all that. I don't know. I moved everything around here and that box just disappeared. I think it got thrown out. So I'm going to have to make a new one. But I just used a random backing to pattern paper or whatever, just to kind of somewhat protect my work surface when you're flicking color like that, because it just gets everywhere, but it cleans up pretty easily. So while that was drying, I got my card base ready, which is standard A2 size, so 4¼ by 5½, just some green cardstock from my stash. And then I used black soot distress ink and inked all the edges of that as well, just to kind of tone down the green a little bit. You can still see it, but that black just gives it a little bit more of a distress edge. It kind of goes with the Graphic 45 paper, in my opinion. So did that. The watercolor splatters I made were now dry, so I adhered that to the card base. And then the biggest balloon I adhered just flat to the card, and then all the rest I'm going to pop up with some dimensionals. So I'm going to get the medium-sized balloon in place, and then this smaller balloon, I'm going to double pop it up. So the part that attaches to the card base has got two thicknesses of dimensionals here, and then just one more on the one that's going over the balloon that's already popped up on dimensionals. So it's still popped up, and then this way it stays a bit flatter. So got that into place, and then finally the last little balloon, popped that up on some dimensionals as well. And then I don't want to leave the strings all just hanging there because they're going to be a mess. So I just bunny-eared another piece of the twine here and tied it around this little cluster of strings and kind of adjusted everything till I got it the way I wanted it. And then cut the little bow ends a little bit longer, and then the balloon ones a little bit shorter. Again, just a little something different. And then to keep that where I want it, I'm just going to add another quite large dab. I used a little too much here again of the Ranger Multimedia Matte, but it's going to dry matte, so you're not really going to see it. But got that into place, and then I just placed my ink pad like right over it just to keep it pressed down, and again walked away, went and did some other things so that it got a chance to completely dry, and now it's not going anywhere. So now I'm going to use these pieces that I inked up and die cut in the beginning. I'm going to use those on the inside of the card, and then I just use the stamp positioner with another sentiment from the Spooked Out stamp set. This is Birthday Witches. And stamp that into place with the positioner, got everything adhered, and I'm going to adhere that to the inside of the card, and that's all there was to it. So there will be links below the video to my blog post with links to all the supplies used, all that fun information, so check that out below. Thank you guys so much for watching and subscribing and thumbs upping my videos, and I will see you all in the next one. Bye!